Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. The internet is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the weekly comic book roundup. So, we got only a handful of books this week. Like I mentioned earlier, it's with it. I may have mentioned this earlier, but it's there are 5 Wednesdays this month, so everything's spread out as opposed to being pushed together. Also, none of them are fall on a holiday, so huzzah, or the day after a major holiday. So let's get started. We're going to kick things off with Uncanny X-Men number 10, the conclusion of X-Men Disassembled. So where we left off, not only had X-Men taken over Legion's body, but he'd also basically taken control of Storm, made her one of his Horsemen of Salvation in place of Archangel. And, however, he decided that he wanted to destroy all the X-Men. However, Jean Grey put out a call to literally all of the X-Men, and so they all showed up. And so now you got a battle royale between X-Men and his 4 Horsemen of Salvation, and all of the X-Men, and Apocalypse. So, Cannonball goes after X-Men, well, actually X-Legion as I was calling him last week, and gets his ass handed to him. Just one blast, boom, down. So Pixie teleports him away. Jean, during the fight, gets all the telepaths together, and for kind of hey, let's all of us go after X-Legion while everybody else goes after the 4 Horsemen of Salvation. But first, Psylocke has an idea. He kind of says, hey, I got a plan to help things on the other side of this. So get started without me. I'll join in later. So she asks Warren for her help, and basically goes after Storm and basically runs her psychic sword through Storm's head, which manages to do the trick in basically undoing the brain, the reprogramming from X-Legion. So Storm goes after X-Legion and she is pissed. Meanwhile, Betsy joins in the rest of the telepaths, and that combined with the attack from Storm, they manage to pull the X-Men and Legion apart. And then, however, Jean gets trapped inside X-Man's head. And so the two talk, and Jean makes the X-Men see all the damage that she has wrought when she was a godlike being. And then that's enough to undo the changes he's made to his horsemen. They're not too happy about being made to do things against their will, and so they team with the X-Men. Turns out that X-Man got himself a life seed, which increases powers. And so, but yeah, everyone goes after him. And he says he's going to make this into a world where the X-Men belong. And so he does, and then seems everyone's gone except for X-Men, and he collapses on the beach and then disappears. We get 2 pages, just plain black pages. Now we got a new narrator. It says, and just like that, they were all gone. Nobody knew exactly what happened, and nobody really cared. All that mattered was everything he had done. Everything everyone had done was undone. The world was returning to the way it once was, like nothing had ever happened, save for one small difference. The X-Men were dead. We see a Daily Bugle headline saying, "No more X-Men." And the world celebrated the deaths of those they had always hated and feared. History books were already being rewritten to erase the role of the X-Men. Senator Allen had a change of heart and publicly reversed his anti-mutant position, but it was too little too late. The world had had enough. Enough of Homo Superior. Enough of mutant rights and mutant liberation. Enough of the men who called themselves gods, and enough of the ones who stood against them. The world had had enough of the children of the atom, and enough of those children's children. Laws were passed to make sure never again would families have to suffer the tragedy of having a mutant child. The anti-mutant vaccine was put into immediate circulation. The age of mutants was coming to an end, but not with a roar, but with a deafening silence. I can't help but think that someday, maybe years from now, but someday, people will realize what we all lost. We just wanted to save the world from itself. And in the last 2 panels, we see that the person, presumed that the person narrating is a guy in a blue hoodie with wearing red sunglasses. Who is it that wears red sunglasses? Is it connected to the X-Men? Could it be Cyclops? Yeah, it's Cyclops. Anyway, so this is the end of our of the weekly Uncanny X-Men stories. Next month they go to normal twice a month. But that's not all the Uncanny X-Men we're getting this month. Next week will be the annual, which kind of details which will apparently detail how Cyclops came back. Next up, we've got Return of Wolverine #4. Where we left off, Wolverine was fighting the X-Men and winning. Also, he got a little off the deep end. Right, so he wakes up in a hospital bed, strapped to it, I might add. And Anna tells him that he beat the X-Men, cut one of them in half, and sent them running. But they still did a lot of damage. And now, her parent, her son, he's back. And then Anna tries to get all up on him, and he's like, whoa, back it up. You know, your son's like right there. I mean, I'm all for boning, but, not in front of the kid. And of course then the things are starting to click, wait, the kid shouldn't be here because of the injections that he was given. And so Anna begins to explain, every day the people in the city wake up, they go to work, they go home, they go to sleep. When they can, in tiny slivers of moments snatched from what they must do, they consider what they might do. They dream, and then they wake up. All those people all over the planet wasting time, effort, hope on dreams. The vast majority will never achieve them. They will never be great or even vaguely notable. They struggle forward, believing the indignities they suffer while serving their time in the grand machinery of humanity's rise are somehow worth it. Their dreams, the carrot in front of the donkey. Hope, an opiate. In truth, in all their lives, most people do nothing more than fulfill their roles as mankind's engine. They are gears, wires, lines of computer code. They're not really alive at all, not like you. They're born dead, and then one day they die. And she also explains that the story she just told was about him, why he came back. She proceeds to shoot her parent, and explain that Perrin's not really his son. He's not even Perrin. That's just a name she likes. And she's not really Anna. Wolverine gets shot and impaled impaled and bound to a wall. And it all clicks. Anna is Persephone. And Anna explains that death is her power. Her power is death. She brings people back. She can make monsters like zombies in movies. Or she can return them like the people of the city, able to follow programs and simple instructions a bit harder. This is a bit harder. And the greatest challenge, she focuses, she can create a facsimile of life so accurate it would fool a mother. And so she explains that yes, the X-Men actually did attack the island, and that they're some of Logan's best friends, but well, maybe not anymore. Apparently, he cut Iceman in half. In the end, Kitty Pryde called for a retreat, but Logan was still in a berserker rage. And then Persephone explains to him that, tells him to, come with the guard that's there and see her in person. And then she lets Anna die. So he goes with the guard. Turns out that Anna is in space because he's about to get onto a space shuttle. He says he already knows how the story ends. The way it always does. Somebody dies. Alright. Moving on to Marvel Comics Presents #1. Now, a little history. Marvel Comics Presents was way back when I started reading comics in the 90s. I think it was either weekly or bi-weekly anthology series. You had 4 stories. Also, they had the cover. You could flip it over. Basically, the first 2 stories were on one side, and you flip it over, and you read the other 2 from that side, on that end. And I only had 1 issue ever that was straight up, just right side up the whole way. I think that was the 150th issue. Generally speaking, it would star Wolverine and Wolverine was a mainstay. I don't remember. I know there was someone else that was also a mainstay character in the book, but I can't remember now. At least he was a mainstay for a good long while of the book. Anywho, so this boasts 3 all-new features. We start off with a Wolverine story. The Vigil, Part 1. It's set in northern France, in the 1940s, late in the Second World War. Nazis have rounded up. We've got a gypsy woman and her daughter captive, and Logan's unit is watching as the gypsies begin summoning something, apparently called the Truth. Then while she's in the middle of it, Logan and his unit start attack. But the thing she summoned, the Truth, he's not too keen on the whole concept of, oh, you summon me, you control me. But Logan goes to save the day, fights the Truth. She manages to send him away. but at great cost to herself, and so she dies. And she explains that the demon can't be killed, only hidden. The beast will return, and if it is not stopped, it will share its truth with the world. Everything you love, everything everyone loves, gone. You know, and she explains 10 years, maybe perhaps one night the demon will return at the very worst place in the world. He will be the guardian. Loki will be the guardian. And it turns out it's the gypsy woman's daughter that will save the world. Next up, we've got War's End, featuring Namor. This is Atlantis in 45. Namor's pretty much done with the war. And he just wants to, stay down in Atlantis and sulk. But he has going to Argentina, where he fights evil Nazi super scientists, and one of them says, remarks, it's no wonder that they sent Namor to Argentina rather than Japan. And so he flies to Japan and arrives in Hiroshima on August 7th, the day after the bomb was dropped. He was sitting in the airbase in the Mariana Islands and talks to his contact, and they have a little back and forth, and then Namor realizes there's another bomb. And he tries to stop it, but 3 weeks later, Nick Fury, and amongst others, is looking around, or is in what's left of Nagasaki, and they're pretty sure that Namor. I'm fairly certain that one of them knows Namor's still alive, but they act like if he was still in the fight, not entirely sure he'd be on their side. Then we get Captain America in First Ride. So Cap's riding his motorcycle with a little Iron Man drone following. And a local girl sees Cap on his bike, and the two bond, and Iron Man and his drone leave. And meanwhile, Cap opts to help the girl fix her bike, and so he can fix his. He's about to leave, and the girl's mom talks to him, explaining, she loves doing all of this stuff, and stunt riding and whatnot, and kids around here, they want to either get out of here with a football scholarship or racing money. So Cap says, we'll talk to him. He rides the jump with her, and they both land safely. But the girl's mom ain't happy, and she kind of says, and says, that's the girl's first big stunt. There'll be more. And Cap tells him, hey, look, the girl is who she is. Let her be that. And she also tells the girl that he's got his eye on her. Anyways, so the next issue of Marvel Comics Presents will focus on Wolverine, Mr. Fantastic, and Gorilla Man. Namely, we'll be continuing the Vigil, and then get two all new one-off stories. Anyways, so next up we got Black Widow #1. Anyways, this takes place starts starts off on New Year's Eve in New York, New York City. Cap's walking through the crowd in Times Square. Various questions are being thrown at him, as well as insults based on the events of Secret Invasion. Meanwhile, it turns out that Black Widow's been doing recon. There's a fake Cap around, and well, yeah. And there might be a robot army. She finds out that yes, there's a giant robot. Anyways, so the two Caps get into a bit of a tussle. Meanwhile, Black Widow, trying to keep her self hidden, because she wants to maintain the whole "she's dead" thing, takes out some of the terrorists handy, and then Cap shows up and starts boasting a bit, and she explains that whoever did it must have been good to fool us. I mean, she's seen a few fake Caps. What they always miss is the nose, broken slightly to the left from a childhood fight, and so she elbows Cap in the nose to fit, revealing that yeah, he's the faker. But yeah, she ends up fighting a giant robot and explaining to the real Cap that dude's a grandstander. There's only one place where the bomb will be, at the ball. So she goes to stop him, manages to destroy the bomb. She's about to garrote the guy when Cap stops her. And they have their own little back and forth about, about killing and not killing. And Black Widow reminds Steve he killed her. So she decides to hit the road, and she's claiming that sometimes the best disguise is about standing out just right. So she goes to Madripoor. She was one of the most dangerous cities in the world, split into two districts: low town for low crime and high town for higher crimes. You can imagine what those things mean in a place like this. And she's dressed in a white suit with an eye patch. As she puts it, the outfit of an old friend, well known in these parts. So she talks to some of the locals, fights some of the locals, and comes upon Tiger, on a past love of Wolverine's. She explains, the Widow explains that she's a friend of Logan's, Patch, to which Tiger says Logan's dead. Widow, a lot of that going on lately. Tiger then goes on with red hair, violent, questionable fashion choices. You're definitely his type. Of course, it's not like that with the two of them. He's more of an uncle to her, like a legit uncle. So they talk. Turns out the Tiger's cybersecurity guy, Tech Ed, picked her up when she arrived. Well, which is great, because turns out there's a website called No Restraints Play. Turns out Madripoor's always had a problem with missing persons. People go when they don't want to be found, but they've had recently a spike in missing girls. Then somebody found No Restraints Play, a silent dark web for the most sick and depraved who get off on watching someone else do their dirty work. A victim is announced, and the site members are notified with a time limit to pledge to view. The highest pledger becomes the director of the live feed, deciding the victim's fate. And so it's decided that she's going to go after them. And Tiger's kind of like, yeah, I'm going along. I'm going with you. As they're leaving the bar, however, they come upon some local gang members who who have an issue with Widow having snooping around his business, his women, and damaging his men. He says that the two of them, him and Widow, are going to play. No restraints play. Not a bad first issue. I really liked the opening with her and Cap working together. I've always Black Widow and Captain America actually make a really good team, which is one of the things I loved about the Winter Soldier movie, at least the first act. Anyways, moving on to As Guardians of the Galaxy #5. Where we left off, Nebula had kidnapped Thor as well as Kid Loki in an effort to, basically let loose her army of dead gods onto Earth. Meanwhile, on the Nova Corps Dreadnought, the Asgardians of the Galaxy manages to get away in their ship. They arrive, and then are seemingly promptly killed. But Nebula realizes that it's just too perfect. Realizing that, yeah, it's obviously Kid Loki messing with her. And he tries various other things. Bombed out city with dead Avengers everywhere. The champion basically the champion, elder of the universe and whatnot. He's like, hey, leave all this behind, no happiness with me. A throne, an isolated throne with the Infinity Gems hovering over it. And then they do show up. And Angela fights the actual Thor, who is currently brainwashed, but she manages to, unbrainwash him. And they continue fighting. When Nebula explains the real thing she wanted to do was attract Gamora's attention. And suddenly Gamora shows up. Sword in hand. The same sword she used to decapitate Thanos. And the two duke it out and then Gamora runs her sword through Nebula. And so the horn is, but it turns out to all be an illusion. Loki saying he only needed to find something easy for her to believe. As much as she wanted to prove herself a worthy opponent for her enemy, deep down, she knows she is not. And so the horn is taken from her. However, Nebula snaps out of it, takes her axe, and teleports away with said axe. However, Urzul, the surviving dwarf, explains that he made some modifications to the axe. It won't be taking her anywhere pleasant. And so, the armada of the dead are returned to their various afterlives. Thor and Angela have a bit of a talk about this. Mainly Thor saying, hey, I could have helped you, Angela's like, if you had heard about this, you would have gone to war against Loki, not Nebula. Yeah. But she insists he takes it and goes in his War of the Realms. But he also says that he thinks the beacon is in good hands. He also gives her a warning. No matter what form he takes, never trust Loki. You get a bit of a flashback of Angela running into Kid Loki, the two of them talking. And the offer of a trade was made, so they continue onwards. But Annabelle kind of insisted upon going back to Earth. The Urzul says he'll stick around as penance for helping Nebula find the beacon. And Loki suggests the best place to hide the beacon is with Angela's ex, Sarah. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Alrighty, and last book of the week, Star Wars: Age of Republic Special. This is an anthology comic. It's got 3 stories. Start off with Mace Windu in The Weapon. On the planet Usulon, in the Outer Rim territories, Mace Windu's been taken captive by a terror group. They had even taken apart his lightsaber. And a nice little nod to Empire with someone throwing a rock out saying "Ichuta Jedi." Ichuta being what the 3PO unit that C-3PO ran into before getting shot said. And he comes upon the warlord that rules these parts, and he grandstands and gives a speech. Apparently, he killed a bunch of Jedi and took their students hostage. And he means to broadcast the execution of Mace Windu. We learn that but the warlord realizes that getting captured was Mace Windu's plan all along. And Mace explains that sending a call to other Jedi through the Force was the second lesson he learned as a Padawan. And the first was using the Force to build his lightsaber. And so he rebuilds his lightsaber, and then basically wields it from a distance, slicing and dicing. Then he gets it, doesn't even cut his bonds, and just And then one of the child soldiers that the warlord has shoots the warlord and says, "Asks if he can go home now." Then the other Jedi show up, showing this to be set before the Phantom Menace, as Qui-Gon's there. But there was one of the terrorists that Mace Windu saw some hope in, but sadly, she's to be sent away instead of taken to a home. Basically put in a new foster home. And so Mace Windu actually feels kind of like they didn't save everyone. Anyways, next story, Coruscant. Begins on Coruscant lower levels and focuses on none other than Asajj Ventress. And it turns out there's a bounty on Ahsoka Tano. And so Asajj basically says she's going after that one. And the two had fought previously. She wanders through the lower levels of Coruscant. and she hears a fight. Two sisters fighting against a much larger assailant. And she remembers having sisters, losing sisters, and so she goes to help. Cuts off the guy's arm, tells him to run, gives the two girls his knife. She's offered food, and she tells the two girls to keep it, and also to keep each other safe. And to herself, she adds, for as long as you can. All right, the final story focuses on Captain Rex and Jar Jar Binks. Started off at the Battle of Arantara, where Anakin finds an injured Captain Rex and explains to him that a true leader always leads from the front. So we then cut to the Battle of Mimban. The things aren't entirely going well, and the Jedi General Beck gets killed. Meanwhile, Senator Binks explains that this is, really bad. They set a plan, and Captain Rex will go after the shield generator by himself. Everyone else will take care of the rest of the battle. While he's going through, the other one of the troopers comes upon him, as does Senator Binks. Later on, a few hours later, he's been ambushed by battle droids, and they're about to take him down when suddenly lightsaber slashes through the various battle droids. A lightsaber wielded by none other than Senator Binks, who promptly drops it, though Captain Rex is able to catch it. Jar Jar explains that he took the lightsaber so it wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. Apparently, he almost killed himself with the lightsaber 5 times, on accident, obviously. And so, the two of them band together, take down the shield generator. A clone trooper with 2 blaster pistols, and a senator with a blaster rifle. Presumably, they managed to pull it off. Next up in the Age of Republic series is going to be Anakin Skywalker. And that is it for this week's comic book roundup. You're not getting out that easy. Now, I should be more sad to myself. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Comment if you like, even. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I put up new content. Try to put up a review of Glass here pretty soon. Or try to put it up tomorrow morning. We'll see what happens. It pretty much depends on being able to see it tomorrow night or not. Or tonight or not, I should say. Anyways, this is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.